Day 12, August 21st, 2013, and we are headed out from Gander. This is our hotel. It's called Sinbad's Hotel, and we're headed out. Today is a day we're going to spend a few minutes in an outport, actually. Something that everybody should do when they go to Newfoundland is spend some time in some of the outports if you can, some of the fishing villages and such all around the outside of the island. Most of the interior of the island is uninhabited, the very center of it. But all around the outside are all these beautiful fishing villages, and you need to go there to get some idea of how the people of Newfoundland actually live. So we're going to go today up to the north end of the main part of the island, not the northern peninsula where St. Anthony's is, but up to Twillingate Island, where we're going to visit a fishing museum, and we're going to go to a lighthouse, the Long Point Lighthouse, and then we're going to have a traditional lunch and some entertainment. So that's today. So here we are on our way up to Twillingate, and just a lot of views very similar to this. 2-lane highway. Now, in years gone by, the outports were connected to each other by ferry, but a number of them now have roads going to them. Some of the areas, particularly the more rugged areas like along the southern shore of Newfoundland, a lot of those outports are still connected by ferry to this day. But we're headed up to Twillingate Island. If any of you have heard the song, the Newfoundland song, Eyes the By, one of the lines is Fogo, Twillingate, Morton's Harbor, all around the circle. So Fogo is an island, and it's only available or accessible by ferry. Twillingate is an island. In fact, there's two islands, North and South Twillingate. And Morton's Harbor is another town in the same area, I guess. So we're on our way to Twillingate, and we'll cross some causeways, go through, there's a few islands. It's sort of an archipelago of islands right on the very north of the island, almost directly north of Gander. It's a beautiful day, a little cool. Look out, kitty, look out. And a bit on the breezy side. Luckily we're not going out on the ocean, but when we're up at the lighthouse, you'll see it's pretty windy when we're up there. Well, this body of water that we're crossing here is known as Gander Bay, and it comes in off the Atlantic Ocean at the north end of the island. It does not get down as far as Gander, but it is Gander Bay. Okay, we're getting pretty close to Twillingate now. In fact, this is the causeway going across to Twillingate Island, I believe. And our first stop is going to be the Prime Berth, which is the fishing museum. It's right here on our left, just as we get on the island, so it's easy to find immediately off the causeway. And this has been developed by one man and his wife. Basically something that he's doing in his retirement. He felt that the story of the old-time fisheries was not being told adequately, and so he created this private museum and, of course, gift shop. So that is Prime Berth. And now we're headed up to Crow's Head, actually, which is north of the village of Twillingate on the island. So we're going to go through Twillingate on our way to get there. Both the lighthouse and our lunch are in Crow's Head. Now, Newfoundland had a railway at one time, and the railway is now been abandoned, dismantled, and most of it has been shipped overseas. There are some trains left on the island and in other museums in Canada for, historic display purposes, but there isn't any active railways on the island, so everything is serviced now by road or by boat. The railways never came out to these outport towns anyways, and that was part of the problem, is the railway didn't go where the population was. The railway on Newfoundland was a narrow gauge railway, so it was 42-inch gauge, which is narrower than the standard gauge on the North American continent. And so all the stuff that came over from the mainland came by ferry and then either had to be changed over into new rail cars when it reached the island, or they took the standard gauge wheels and put narrow gauge wheels underneath the cars, and was very, very labor intensive. So it was a very early conversion to containers, and then once it had changed to containers, they realized they could ship them anywhere on the island on a truck. They didn't need the railway for that, so there was no passenger service anymore. They got rid of the railways. And apparently the deal was that the government agreed that they would allow the railway to abandon, but then they would put more money into the Transcanada Highway. So the Transcanada was a very narrow highway, apparently, previous, and the trees in many places came right up to the edge of the road. You couldn't even see a moose before you were on it and hit it. So this is the village of Twillingate that we're going through. And this is what a traditional Newfoundland outport village looked like. Sort of a long strip. There aren't very many side roads. There may be a few that are, coming and meeting the main road at right angles, but there aren't very many. Most of them are long strips of, commercial businesses and houses all facing onto the main road. And they may also, many of them have waterfront access as well. Most of these people would be fishermen. We've left Twillingate. We're headed up towards Crow's Head now. Now there's been a moratorium on cod fishing. They're allowed a small amount of cod to be fished every year, but not very many because the cod stocks were depleted. So they're now for, 20 odd years or more, there has been a moratorium on cod fishing. But they converted to fishing other things. Many of you may have had lobster, and lobster was always considered a poor man's food in Newfoundland. They were bottom dwellers, bottom feeders, and not considered good food. But now they're a delicacy, and that's something that they fish now. And they fish for scallops, and they fish for Atlantic salmon in some areas. So they've switched over from just being purely cod fishers to fishing other things as well. And Newfoundland is now a home of a very vibrant oil-based economy. There's a lot of oil has been found offshore. The Hibernia oil project has been going on in the area for many years, but there's other oil discoveries that have been made, and it's bringing a lot of prosperity to the island. Real estate has become more and more expensive. In fact, there was a home advertised when we went for lunch here. There was a home advertised for sale right here in Crow's Head, but there was no price. Be interesting to know what it actually was being offered up for sale for. More vibrant colored homes. Some very short, steep stretches of road here. This lighthouse that we're headed up to is right on the top of a point of land, and gives a very good view out over the ocean. And you can see, various things in the area, and you can see lots of water. I slowed right down because I wasn't exactly sure what he was going to do. You may or may not have been able to see it, but he was actually wandering all over the road with that RV, and I don't trust people who drive RVs. A lot of them have zero experience driving larger vehicles. I mean, that was only a pickup with a slide-in camper in it. But even these people driving these big bus-style RVs, many of them have never had any sort of training in driving, so I'm very, very cautious around them. And of course, a lot of these curves I need to go a little bit wider around myself. A lot of the pavement is broken off at the edge, as you can see, and it'd be a pretty rough ride if you're riding right along the edge. So there's the lighthouse straight ahead of us. And luckily for us, they built this lighthouse where there was a gift shop. See, here it is on the left. Nice big parking lot. And there you can see the Atlantic Ocean. Nice viewing platform here. So we just stayed here for maybe 20 minutes, let people wander around, take some pictures, and look at the lighthouse if they wanted to. And then after that, we head down for lunch, which was fish cakes, and it started with pea soup, but fish cakes, and it was very good. When you're in Newfoundland, if you order fish, they offer you fish, it's almost always going to be cod. And if it's any other kind of fish, they'll actually name it. They'll say haddock, or they'll say halibut, or whatever. But if they just say fish, it's cod. And that's what fish cakes are. They're cod and potato and onions and that kind of thing mixed together. Very nice. So we've come back down out of the Twillingate area, and we're now on the Transcanada Highway here. We're headed towards Deer Lake. We're going to have supper in Deer Lake, and then from Deer Lake we're headed to Corner Brook, where we're overnighting. These are just some general views along the Transcanada Highway. If you've driven in northern Ontario, it's very similar. A lot of two-lane road with passing lanes. And the people drive very similarly too. Because you'll be going along here, you'll be behind somebody who's going 90, 95 kilometers an hour in a 100 zone. It's 100 kilometers an hour here. And then you'll get to the passing lane and you start to accelerate to pass them, and they start to accelerate too until you're both going 110. And you get to the end of the passing lane and they slow back down to 95 or 90 or whatever they were driving before. It's a fun game trying to get by these guys. And we're always watching for moose. The whole trip, I think one of our passengers saw a live moose in Cape Breton Island before the group came over to Newfoundland. And the tour director saw one wandering up a road when we were going from Corner Brook down to Port aux Basques. And that's tomorrow, day 13. Yes, I am recording the voiceover long after. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of busy days involved since Newfoundland, so I do have some catching up to do on video editing and voice overing. Just some very pretty views of a nice lake here on our right, and some of the mountains in the distance. So this is Deer Lake, I believe. Actually, yes, we're just actually leaving the town of Deer Lake. We've had supper. It's a power generating station here, and on our right is actually Deer Lake, and it's a very long lake. We follow it most of the way down to Corner Brook, and the Humber River flows, I guess, out of it into the Humber Arm, which is sort of the bay. Any of the bays that are long and narrow are called arms, and the Humber Arm is the bay that is at Corner Brook. We're almost at Corner Brook now. In the distance you can see there are two ski mountains that I know of in Newfoundland. There's one on the east side, about an hour and a half outside of St. John's, and then there's this one here now on the west side, which is just over halfway between Deer Lake and Corner Brook. Tim Hortons, no time to stop. That's okay, we just had supper. We had pizza buffet at Pizza Delight. It was quite good, actually. And there's the Humber River. A lot of construction going on in Newfoundland. As I said, the economy is doing quite a lot better now than it has for many years. Now that there's a lot more work with oil in the area. In fact, if anybody's looking for a job, they're short on labor here. So, want to move to a beautiful island with friendly people that is a little bit on the harsh side in the winter. They're looking for you in Newfoundland. So we're in Corner Brook now, and you may be wondering where I'm going. Well, our hotel is at the end of this road, through this lush, treed, residential neighborhood. Now, they don't really want us buses running through this part, but I wanted to come this way because there's a reservoir with walking paths and it's a lot easier to see it coming this way. It's right here on our left. It's a public park. It's called Glen Mill Pond. Then coming in this road to the right, which is really the way I should have come in. Of course, I've only been to this hotel once before, and it was 3 years ago, and sometimes it's kind of difficult to remember all the little intricate ways. But this is the hotel. It's an old property, well kept, and again, friendly people, very nice place to stay. So that's day 12. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.